before. Let me say a special greetings and welcome. Yes, welcome to all of you who are here with me already. Thank you very, very much indeed. Please, as I continue here, I ask you to share that live information. Share that live feed to your friends, your family members, your relatives, whoever it is you feel comfortable with sharing it. Let them know that we are on with this program tonight. Yes? So those of you as well in the region and or further afield, because I know once we're on social media, then basically the globe should be connected at this time. Thank you very, very much indeed. Just before I move on here, let me profusely apologize to you guys for not being here with you guys for the past 2 weeks, 2 Saturday nights, yes? This basically was primarily due to the flu. I got caught up with that flu, and if you can hear, my voice is still not back 100%. But I say tonight, I have to try to make it tonight because the information that has been piling up, then I cannot afford a third Saturday night that is, without you guys' company. So each and every one of you, a pleasant good evening, and thank you very, very much indeed. Those of you who sent well wishes my way, I appreciated it. And I'm not totally out of the woods as yet, but with what I've been taking, at least it is working. So thank you very, very much indeed. And added to that, in terms of when I think I was just, getting over with the flu, then this Wednesday, again, I and other persons, we had a bombardment of another round of tear gas. So basically that just, sent that, what I was suffering with in terms of my respiratory system under pressure, in a little bit more pressure. A matter of fact, we got that dosage of tear gas by the police, unlawfully that is, on Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon, and for the better part of Thursday, I was feeling my voice really, really, really not mine. And I knew it was as a result of that tear gas, yeah? But thank God I'm back on track and I'm back here with you. And so, yes, indeed, it's always a pleasure to be with you guys. Dominicans, friends, followers, fools, welcome, as I said before. We're going to touch on some issues tonight. But before we go there, though, I can see some of you, all of you, trickling in at this time. Just please, as I said, share that live information, yeah? We are in the independence season, as it were. That is what they call it. I may have my doubt about that, the way things have been panning out of late. But that is the season, they say. And so all of you who believe in independence, and the spirit that comes along with it, happy independence to you guys for whatever that is worth. If you ask me my honest opinion, then you may hear some things that some of you may not like to hear, but it is my opinion nonetheless. But those of you who believe in the season, those of you who celebrate the season, I wish you happy independence season indeed. 46 and counting. What can we show for 46 years and as an independent country? That is a discussion we may have sometime in the future, yeah? But it is all well and good. So we are smacking this season, yes? I got word today that a dear friend of mine from the Mount Prosper area, that is Caril Mitchell, she passed sometime earlier this morning. And so to her friends, her family, her loved ones at this time, all those who knew Caril to be a gentle soul. And so as we start tonight's program, I want to say to her family, her friends, her loved ones, be encouraged. Caril suffered for some time, but at least for now, that suffering is over. she was dealing with some kidney related issues, and so she was a dialysis patient. Yeah, and the times that we spoke, these times were enjoyable times, and so these are the times that I wish to cherish as she exits this life, and whatever is on the other side, then may she be greeted with whatever is on the other side, but may her soul indeed rest in eternal peace, but more so, the spirit in which she lived, that life, always a cheerful person, always have something good to say, always had something good to say. I remember Karen Mitchell for that. I know she will be missed by many, especially in the Mount Prosper area. Yeah? Also too, I made a trip to Loda area this morning, and in talking to somebody, I asked the whereabouts of a dear lady called Miss Christine McGlaw. And to my surprise, the young lady that I was speaking to was this Christine McGlaw daughter. And she said, Lofty, but my mom passed a whole year now, at least 28th of September. I would have given her a whole year. I said, wow. Those of you who don't know or cannot remember just who is Christine McGlaw, let me just bring it closer home to you now. Christine McGlaw was the wife, rather, of Mr. McGlaw, the very patriotic senior brother who used to call Q95 ever so often. And so that was his wife. And I really thought she was still around with us, but no, a year ago. And the daughter basically gave me the scenario why many people, including myself, did not know or did not recognize she passed, is because everybody knew this lady to be Christine from very, very young. It's Christine. But her real name on birth paper, the daughter told me, was Elizabeth. And so it was Elizabeth that was placed on the advertisement or whatever it is, death announcement I heard. And so a lot of us may have read this death announcement talking about Elizabeth McGlaw and not realizing that it was our dear own Christine McGlaw that passed. Yeah. So to her family, friends, I know the daughter, when I spoke to her today, she was still, in a very somber mood, recalling the times that her mom spent with her and spent with the family. So those of you who still continue to mourn the loss of your mom in that regard, our prayers and sympathies, empathies as well, go out to you guys as well, yeah? And so everyone who may be at this time grieving the loss of a loved one, my heart goes out to you. It is normally said that it is an appointment that we all have. So you who are under the breath or under the sound of my voice at this time and can hear, it is a wake-up call for you. Because when that appointment time comes around, it's either it is right or it is wrong. There's no center line. And so it is this time that we have to do whatever we have to do based on your faith, that is, to make it right. Yeah? So I just want to, sort of open up the conversation tonight with us in that kind of very reflective mood, so that with all the hustle and bustle there is in life, trying to make ends meet and doing what we have to do to survive, as it were, then we still have to ensure that, as the people who of faith would say, that election calling or that calling is made sure, right? It's never easy to lose a loved one, but you know, with time, they say time heals all wounds. And I guess time also will do just that in you guys' favor tonight, those of you who are grieving. On a more positive note, those of you who are celebrating one thing or the other, just celebrating life, another year, a newborn, whatever it is you're celebrating. We here, the family here, we celebrate with you as well. There's a birthday that I think yesterday it was. I think it was yesterday. Yesterday or today, I think, is Mr. Edison James's birthday. So whatever it is, Mr. James, I think I heard that somewhere. Either yesterday or today. Happy birthday to you, my brother. Keep growing in grace and in wisdom. Yeah. All right, folks, we are going to talk about the just held protest action by the truckers in Dominica, or some truckers in Dominica. We're also going to talk about some of the things that occurred at that protest based on what I saw, me being on the ground, just to do some recapping. There's a case as well that is circulating from last night. That is the case of Mr. Langlois, the Canadian man, the Canadian businessman, who died in a very, very brutal fashion, a very brutal way in Dominica some time back. And his alleged killer or killers, they are presently sitting at Stock Farm awaiting their day in court. But his family, his friends, especially from the Canadian end, they are not giving up on his death. And so ever so often, some people in the media fraternity in Canada, they normally put some documentaries together to remind us. And based on talking to one or two of his media people, and then I get the sense that they will not be giving up anytime soon. So the justice system in Dominica, or should I say the injustice system in Dominica, you guys have to understand that eyes and ears are on you, especially as it relates to that case. Yeah? I will say no more on that. Let us just leave time unfold with this matter. I take a pause because we have been hearing of late about some pending general election in Dominica. That is wood on the ground. I really did not want to speak to that situation because to me that is basically taking Dominicans now and from the fold. But there are some things circulating around that scenario that I must touch on. So as a result of that, I will be touching on some things tonight as well. Read that talked about general election for December 2024. The much talked about case, the High Court case that just concluded about a month and a half about ago, where yours truly was involved with two other people. I will be giving you guys at least the bone or some bones as it relates to that case. And you will well understand that it is still in the court system because, as I said on public record already, we are planning to appeal that matter. So there's not much detail I can go into as it is before the court. But there are certain things instructed by our lawyer we can't see or we can't put out there in the public domain, and that I will be telling you tonight for sure before we end tonight's program. Tomorrow, if God spare, on the Civic Vibes program, we will be having a continuation of a conversation that we started sometime last week with Miss Eileen Burton. As I said, we are in the season. And so for October, the Civic Vibes team and myself, we will be dedicating our programs. We'll be made our programs to everything cultural and everything that deals with heritage and, just we as a people. So on that program tomorrow from 6, we will be talking with a cultural icon in the name of Mr. Gregory Rabes. Gregory Rabes, a well-known figure in Dominica, especially around the cultural circle. We will be talking to him. He will be telling us some things here that you'd want to be in tune for tomorrow. Yeah? Also, to a conversation as well. In that conversation we had last week, some other conversations sparked up, especially as it relates to our music. And brother Derek Ra Peters, a pioneer in the bouillon business, he has consented to be on with us tomorrow as well. That is in the second segment. So you guys could tune in as well to hear just what Brother Derek Ra Peters would have to say to us as it relates to culture and music, especially in the bouillon part of things. There has been this debate, this back and forth as to whether we should stay with what we know or move on to other stuff or blend it up or whatever it is. So Brother Ra will come to give his twist or his take on that aspect of the conversation tomorrow. He being a musical icon in Dominica, especially where bouillon is concerned. So folks, that is the skeleton, that is the bone of the conversation to come tonight. And I wish you very, very a comfortable position as we're about to take flight now in terms of much more of the details of the conversations to come. Yeah? All right, let us start with the protest action by the truckers that was held on Wednesday of this week. I got word about a week before that protest actually went on the road Wednesday that there was something in the pipeline. And Brother Norris Charles, you're saying thank you for the information on the death of Cariel. Yes, thank you very much. Indeed, it's my pleasure. Yeah. So about a week ago, before Wednesday gone, I got this, bit of information that the truckers in Dominica, they are, most likely will be trying to get something pulled off in terms of a protest action. And it was my impression then, based on the sources that, brought the information to me, that is within the trucking fraternity, that this protest action would be one where they would be calling on the government of the day to do better by them as truckers in Dominica not having or not getting adequate work based on the amount of projects that have been going on in Dominica for some time. So that in a nutshell was my impression based on the sources that, spoke to me in a very confidential manner, was to come. So I anticipated that. On Tuesday night, I got confirmation that it would be on. And so yours truly did whatever he had to do to basically gear up myself to make sure that at least you guys out there, especially those of you in the region and further afield, see and hear in real time what the truckers had planned and what they were about to execute. So I reached on site about, that is Canefield, that is about 20 past 5 that morning. And it was when I went there, based on what was explained to me, that is what I saw played out itself. The truckers allowed vehicles to flow, at a snail pace, that is, for some time, just about an hour and a half thereabout. So they parked on the left side of the road heading to town. They were lined up on that side of the road. At about 7 o'clock that morning, I guess as was planned, based on what was told to me, the action took a turn, and basically all the trucks went right across the road, and then the road basically was completely shut off or blocked off from vehicular traffic, that is. Now, with social media on and the news going around, people start to, flock around. Some people had to park their vehicles and actually walk. Some people actually park their vehicles with intention to go to work, but stayed around and, sort of stood in solidarity with the truckers. So that was going on for, a nice considerable length of time. About 10 o'clock, quarter to 10 o'clock thereabout in the morning, I saw, now, if someone tell me or told me, and then I will use a different language. But when those two eyes see certain things, and I am a witness to what I saw, then the language will be different. So about quarter to 10 that morning, I saw a brother in the name of Chris Walter. He basically showed up at the protest. Now, if you guys know who is Chris Walter, then you will well imagine why Chris Walter showed up at that protest. The brother showed up at the protest. A matter of fact, in getting to the protest, now that is what I am told. I didn't see that. So I'm going to tweak the language now. It was said to me, allegedly, that in getting to the protest, that he, Chris Walter, basically had to do whatever needed to be done by him with the facilitation of the police to get to the protest site. When he got to the protest site, some members of the leadership of the Tipper Truckers Association, a call was made to them. And then these members, 3 or 4 of these members, went along and had a meeting with whoever they had that meeting. I don't know, I wasn't there. But word have it on the ground that they went to have that meeting as the management of the Tipper Truckers Association with Roosevelt Scarrett. Bearing in mind, I saw, you guys most likely would have heard me report it. I was on the ground and I saw 2 vehicles that I know Roosevelt Scarrett normally travels in, leaving Mont Daniel about 9 o'clock thereabout in the morning, heading to Roseau. 9, quarter past 9 thereabout. It was said when some of these management guys came back, the members of the association came back, that a deal was struck with Rosedale Skerrit in terms of after having a conversation with him. Now, there were a number of other truckers on site, basically holding the fort, as it were, whilst these guys, 3 or 4 of them, went to allegedly, quote unquote, negotiate. Now remember what I said earlier. Yours truly, I'm not speaking for anybody now, yours truly was under the impression, based on information from within the Tipper Truckers Association, that it was a situation whereby the association agreed to hold that protest, citing the lack of work or the inadequacy of work for a number of years now. And so that protest was to, like a call to action to the powers that be, so that some sort of remedy would have been brought to that lack of employment or inadequate employment situation. Because you heard it on the ground. A number of people, a number of truckers in particular, who got interviewed, said in a nutshell that they cannot service their loans, they cannot maintain their trucks, they cannot do this, they cannot do that because of the lack of work. Foreigners are getting that work, and they need work. They needed somebody to come to their aid to basically talk on their behalf, plug them into the arrangement where foreigners, be Chinese or Indians or whoever it is, have these major contracts and our local truckers are left out. I was under that impression. And so that conversation, that demonstration, that protestation was supposed to be a call to action by the truckers, giving the authorities a wake-up call that, hey, things cannot continue as normal. And so in my mind, now I am a person, I am very, very direct. In my mind, I was under the impression that there was supposed to be much more of a meaningful outcome to that action. I know some people who were on the ground in solidarity with the truckers, and they were very disappointed in terms of how this thing played out at the end, or in the end. But putting everything in the balance, knowing how Dominicans operate, in that this group will protest for what they want, and once they get what they want, then, as we say in Dominica, to pull with the rest. So I am not knocking the truckers too hard in that department for getting what they got, small as it is, and pulling out. And the rest of the crowd now, the supporting crowd, the supporting actors, were disappointed. Because at the end of the day, based on my information, the truckers did not have that quote-unquote arrangement with the people to keep that lock until we get what we, that is the public, are supposed to get as well. So that is a gray area. But what I am very disappointed in, as somebody on the ground, is that the message from the truckers did not line up with the outcome. Again, I want to repeat. The message or the messaging from the truckers on that day and prior did not line up with the outcome. And that is where my issue is at. If you guys said, because I haven't been hearing you saying that, you may say that in the future, but I've not been hearing you saying that from Wednesday. If you guys were saying then that it's a situation you guys are jobless, you guys are workless, you guys are moneyless as it relates to the kind of contracts that have been doled out in the country, and you guys want your piece of the pie, the national pie that is, and to settle now for the reality, cement carrying or the hauling of cement, which by the way, in my estimation, that was supposed to be on the cards from day one. Some of you may like to hear it, some of you may not want to like to hear it, but that is just me. I speak my mind. The bombshell in all that. The bombshell in all that, people. And listen properly. The messaging, again the messaging that went out. I was under the impression, but I guess I was totally wrong. So I guess when some Dominicans speak, then I have to try to navigate what they are saying. I was under the impression, and I think I'm speaking for a good number of people as well, that with the action that took place on Wednesday, whereby nothing could flow from south to north in terms of vehicular traffic along that piece of stretch, along that piece of road, along that block, that some sort of talking, some sort of negotiations would have gone into between these parties, and the government side now, which is where the truckers had their issue, not necessarily the contractors. The government side would have said, you know something, at the end of the day, in order for that chaotic situation to be out of the way, or lessened, or whatever it is, then let us offer you, the truckers, something. And the truckers now, having been offered something, would go back to their base, which is the people, the truckers on the ground, and say, guys, after having much discussion with the powers that be, here is what the powers that be is proposing to us. Are you in favor? Are you against? And then the base now would have said, the base would have ratified the discussion or ratified the engagement. That, to me, in my mind, that is what was supposed to have been playing out on the day. But it wasn't meant to be. So you had 3 guys or 4 guys from the management of that association I was going to use a phrase, but I'll hold it back. Went to Roosevelt Square, he said. Should I say negotiated? There was no negotiation. Because let me tell you what happened. What I saw. What I saw is that the chairman or the president Mr. Eric, whatever his name is, came back and had a letter in his pocket. Now, all along, yours truly, from 5:30 in the morning, had my cameras on, basically drawing attention to the world as to the plight of the truckers. Because that is what these guys wanted, I would think, is that kind of exposure and attention for solution. Here it is. Let me get his name properly. Mr. Eric Emmanuel came back with a letter in his pocket, with an envelope rather in his pocket. That's what I saw. In that envelope had a letter. Now again, I think I was maybe too advanced in terms of where things were supposed to go. I was under the impression on site when I saw that letter in Mr. Emmanuel's pocket that it was after whatever negotiation the powers that be offered something and they had it in writing, on paper, in an envelope. The brother came back on site, and basically what I got on the ground from his end and the few that went with him cut that deal, and they were now on a mission. They came back on a mission, quote unquote, satisfied with what they agreed with. And their mission, as you heard Roosevelt said, was to unblock the road. So when these guys came back from that engagement about 11:30 thereabout, when they came back, I could see visibly that their shoulders were broken. That energy, that exuberance, that high-spirited person that I saw, or these high-spirited people that I saw, when they swung their trucks to the right at 7 o'clock, and the noise that they made, the action that they took, the followed up action, it gave me, I'm talking for myself, the impression that, hey, these guys, they mean some kind of business. They are set and they're ready to go. But when the 3 or 4 came back, you could clearly see, if you know body language properly, some things were not right. And so for these guys alone, if it was for them alone, that road would have been cleared by midday. It would have been unblocked for them alone. But it was the public pressure, it was the peers' pressure that kept that road in that state for 6 or 8 or whatever hours after. And let me get back to that letter. Under pressure by some of their peers, Mr. Emmanuel, that is Eric Emmanuel, the president of the Truckers Association, had no choice but to release and had another trucker read some of the contents of that letter. And it's only then, when I heard some of the contents of the letter and I saw with my eyes, I realized something was amiss. On that letter, the first thing that struck my attention, because I was looking for it, I was looking out as to, number one, whose logo, whose letterhead is on that letter. And it caught my attention, and I saw the Tipper Truckers Association letterhead at the top of that letter. And from there, I said in my mind, something is wrong. And you know why I said something is wrong? Again, let's go back to the messaging. The messaging that was out there, it was to pressure the government into a position for more work, more pay, more money to have part of the national pie from the truckers' end. But the letter with the logo or the letterhead of the Tipper Truckers Association made me think otherwise. And so it was the reverse. The Tipper Truckers Association guys, whoever they were, I don't know. The membership will deal with that, privately or publicly, I don't know. They basically put their proposal on paper, because what the trucker was reading, it was coming from, not from the powers that be, it was coming from the Tipper Truckers Association. So I wonder now if some of the members of the Tipper Truckers Association knew fully well and were on board with exactly the program on that day and prior. I am just asking that question, because some of the sentiments of the truckers on the ground would suggest otherwise. So here it is, the Tipper Truckers Association, and I'm looping everybody now, went to the powers that be with a letter prepared and basically asking the powers that be for them and their membership a chance to carry cement from the port, the Woodbridge Bay port, to Wesley. That is, in a nutshell, all that was on the letter. A 2-page letter. But after all the whatever it is, that in gist was on the letter. And their asking was for $90 a bag of cement on the port from Roseau, from Woodbridge Bay to Wesley. That was their asking on their letter, on their letterhead. And so you heard Roosevelt deny it. Well, I didn't listen to him. I don't listen to Roosevelt, because I know exactly what he will see. I didn't listen. But, you know, I got confirmation as to what he said in terms of the sneak bits of the engagement that he had denied about the protests and about this and about that. Here it is. Roosevelt cunning like a fox, seeing that on the day he and his government was basically cornered into opposition by truckers locking off a section of the country. And you have now the president and others coming to him for quote-unquote a bailout. Some say a cool out. Of the asking $90 a bag in terms of transportation with their trucks from Woodbridge Bay to Wesley. I wasn't there, but I can now put it together. I can picture it. His smile. Whatever is left of those dimples, they maybe came out that day. Because when you would have thought that the truckers, having had this regime by its balls as it were, and would negotiate for something tangible around that bargaining table on that Wednesday morning, the brothers only settled for $90 a bag of cement from Woodbridge Bay to the port. I can tell you, Roosevelt was smiling away. And so you heard him in a very condescending tone. Oh, when you come to do transactions, there's always this. When you come to bargain, there's always this give and take. What the hell is $5 off from a $90 an underpriced and underpaid package to carry a ton of cement on your, as he said, I'm not saying, on your already modified trucks? What is $90? And so your association people settled for $90 a bag of cement. Here it is. Mr. Garakan, I'm being told, on the southern side of the island, is going to start a road project from where to where? In the south. Not even that. The truckers had the courage or had the mindset to bargain for in terms of whatever it is that that project would entail. Nothing like that. The truckers gave us the impression that they wanted a piece of the national pie which rightfully should belong to them. I am saying, based on the end of that bargain, they did not get nothing. And all the support that the people came out and gave the truckers and eventually ended up getting tear gassed, it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I am not blaming the people, the crowd, for asking rightfully what is due to them. I'm not blaming them for that. I am not blaming the humble truckers who were there. At least one who was brutalized and is now even before the court on a trumped up charge of battery or assaulting or whatever it is. I'm not blaming these true truckers, I call them, who basically put everything on the line and ask for what they want, only to find out, I am saying now, that they were betrayed by their leadership. That is my word. And I don't say things without I think about it. I am saying the leadership of the Tipper Truckers Association betrayed the trust and confidence of the rest of their members. I am not prepared to go as far as saying what whoever got or what whoever didn't get. I'm not prepared to go down that road. I am just dealing with the straight facts. $90 a bag of cement, knowing fully well that that is not enough for you guys to survive, not live or thrive, survive. Imagine you have a truck, as Kerrit said, your modified trucks. The Chinese trucks, I am seeing them passing with 14 bags of cement every day, each one of them. And there are a number of Chinese trucks. 14 bags. And maybe one or two trucks or truckers that as we speak on the day have the capacity to haul to Wesley 14 bags of cement. Maybe one or two, not three. That's based on what I saw, what I know. Because these things are not toy. And so if on an average I am saying now, those trucks can haul about 8 to 10 bags of cement up to Wesley at $85 a trip. Let us put it on the high side, 10 bags. 10 times 85, you're talking about $850. For that truck, that modified truck, to go up to Wesley. $850 a trip. That truck, we ain't talking about tires, we ain't talking about brakes, we ain't talking about time of the driver, we ain't talking about that. I'm only talking now about fueling that truck to go up to Wesley to haul that load and come back down. Talking about roughly 300 plus amount of diesel in that truck to go up and come back. And that's conservative. $300. So in a nutshell, that truck driver, whoever he or she is, will make about $500 to haul cement up to Wesley. Now, when you punch that $5, that $500, you know, I am bringing it home now. Talk about the servicing of that truck, the brakes, the tires, your time, your whatever it is, put those overheads now. Factor that into the equation. The tires, the wear and tear, and everything that goes with it. Everything that goes with it. So you are basically coming back to square one. You are basically coming back to square one as a trucker. And so whoever told you that 90, now 85 was worth settling for, they were dead wrong. Because the ordinary or average trucker, that settlement, it doesn't cut it. It cannot cut it. Now, the next question to that, how many days will you, the truckers, be hauling cement up and down Wesley? How many days? On your Skerrit's wood, not my wood. Modified trucks. How many days? In that letter, when the brother was reading it out on the day in the noise and the hustle and the bustle, there were some quote-unquote conditions. There were some conditions. as to how many days or whatever it is that, you guys will be hauling. Let us hope. I can only pray and hope. That it is every day. And even if it's every day, I'm going back to Roosevelt's word. Your modified trucks, can it sustain that everyday use? So where you guys had to go in terms of negotiations, far as how these projects are now, but you had to sit down with the powers that be and sort of put things in place, because they are not in place. So whatever concessions there is to be at the banks, the financial institutions, even with the contractors themselves, whatever it is, so that you guys could come out on top or more on top, that should have been the conversation or the conversations. And you guys said it. You guys said it right. Letters, discussions, meetings, forums, whatever it is. You guys, nothing came forth from these discussions. What make you think that a discussion 15 minutes and under would have yielded any result, any meaningful result? But you guys are big men. You guys settled for that, so that is fine. That is fine. But let us see how that will work out. Because they say when you play with fire, you get burned. And I hope you guys did not play with fire. Let's continue. On the day when the police released their, I am saying now, expired tear gas on the people, and I will show you why in a while I will say is expired tear gas, because unless the police can come and clarify it is not expired tear gas, then I will hold true to what I'm saying. When the police released their expired tear gas unlawfully on the people on there, because everywhere in the world have protest action, it is in Dominica alone, before some people stand up for their rights and they speak in very what I would say a very vociferous tone, meaning their pitch of their voices up top, then the police feel threatened and the police jump helter-skelter and who want to do this and who want to do that. People are protesting for their rights every day across the globe. And we see the kind of restraint that the police around the world, around the globe take with people. We've seen it. But in Dominica, you have a regime that is unrelenting. And before they hear people walk in, they have their Gestapo gang following them. Before they hear somebody sneeze, and at the end of it might be S, they would think it's Roosevelt scary they're talking about. And so the Gestapo type will be on their back. So when Dominica police, whoever they are, the Gestapo gang I call them, would want you to think that what is going on in Dominica is so bad, and they would have to always release expired tear gas on everybody, innocent as guilty, then we have something else coming for us in this country. We have something else coming for us in this country. And so by now, the international community is well aware of what goes on in this country as it relates to people standing up for their rights. Dominica is part of how many charters, signed on to how many charters, that deal with rights and the protection of fundamental human rights. But it would seem as if the police / the government / whatever, they don't know or they forgot. They signed on to all these rights and charters. But charters where rights are concerned. It seems as if they forget. And so I know the people that matter out there, the organizations that matter out there, they are taking note, people. And so it's on that note I need to encourage us to please let us continue to stand for our rights. In spite of the brutality, we need to continue to stand. Because these people want to cover you. They want to let us be in a position of fright, of cowardice. That when you stand for your right, their next move is to tear gas you into submission. It is to use live wrongs on you into submission. And so you guys need to be encouraged. I know some of your spirits are broken, but that is what you have to deal with when you are dealing with a brutal regime, such like that of Vladimir Putin and his Gestapo gang and others, which I compare to what we have here in Dominica that passes for the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force. It can now be renamed to the Commonwealth of Dominica Brutal Force. And so even if you have babies in a daycare, you have elderlies around, you have people who have respiratory problems, you have people who are sick, you have people who are bedridden, you have people who are alive and well, an entire village. We saw it in Salisbury. We saw it by Macmillan. We saw it Wednesday on display. No matter who that is there, the police in Dominica think and feel emboldened to use their expired tear gas in a willy-nilly fashion on a people who are prepared to stand for their rights. The police, they cannot, in court, testify and tell you before their use of illegal tear gas, one bottle was thrown, one bottle hit one of them. That same police cannot tell you before their illegal use of expired tear gas, ever so often, one stone, one brick was thrown at them, one stone was hurled at them. None of the above. They see nobody wielding a knife, nobody wielding a cutlass, nobody wielding an axe, nobody have a piece of wood in their hand, nobody have no kind of weapon in their hand. But the Gestapo gang will always want to use expired tear gas on a people simply standing for their rights. That too will come to an end. And you guys, the members of this Gestapo gang type in Dominica, you have to pay. Not maybe, you must pay. So carry on. Carry on. It can be when you guys are 90 years, 95 years, heading into your coffin. You will be called to account And so all you chemical allies out there who dress in your military wear and think you can brutalize people and get away, your deeds are being counted. Your deeds are being collected. Your deeds are being archived away so that you will pay. That's it. So continue. This video. See this? This is what the Gestapo gang in Dominica uses on a people who usually are prepared to stand for their rights. That is an empty shell of a canister of the expired tear gas that they are prepared to use on a people when a people decide to stand for their rights. And it's not a matter of liking me. I don't want nobody to like me. I speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If I offend you by speaking the truth, then that is left to you. I try my very best not to defame, not to libel, not to slander anybody. But I am not going to put water in my wine, as it were, or mix my words when it comes to my security, my safety, and my human rights. Nobody's going to shut me up. A matter of fact, if you think you are shutting this mouth up by whatever you're doing or saying, it serves as a catalyst for me to continue. So try you may, I will continue. And why you may ask, did I choose to pick up this canister of tear gas, or what had tear gas in it, that compact gas? Why did I choose out of the number of them that was belted in the air in and around the housing scheme area, on people's roofs, on people's porch, on wherever? Why did I choose to pick up this one? This one. You see there? This has a dent right here. That dent on that canister, when it was fired at the crowd, it hit on a truck, one of the trucks nearby. And when it hit on the truck, it created that dent. With the velocity, it hit that truck. And when it hit that truck, that canister ricocheted from that truck and hit yours truly right on his right breast. That is why I chose this one. So here it is. I am doing my work as a citizen of this country. Have nothing to do with police and their tear gas. But their tear gas canister ricocheted on a truck and hit yours truly right up here. Right here. Right here. See where I'm pointing it right now? Right here. When it ricocheted from the truck and it fell on my foot. Or it fell in my feet. And so that is the danger that one faces on the front line, as it were, when you're dealing with a Gestapo type, a Gestapo gang who call themselves policemen and women. All right. They say a picture tells 1,000 words. So I may be telling you, but some of you, knowing some of you, oh, Mr. Lai, man, Mr. was making up a story. Here's the picture of what I'm talking about. Let me pan this camera here. You see this here, people? That is yours truly right here. On the day. On the day. That's me right here. That's my shades right here in my neck. This is my shirt, trim shirt right here. This here is my right side of my upper breast area right here. So you see that black mark here? You see that black mark here? That is where this canister ricocheted and hit yours truly right here. Right where this cursor is right now. And so when it hit here, it fell to my feet. I said, wow. I had no choice. I picked it up. And I said, this is the price that yours truly and others have to pay for standing up to a system that is not willing to give in. I made a call. I made a call to a number of people in the region who I know normally they're on front line, and they too, they have been subjected to the use of tear gas. And I asked one or two of them whether by any chance, perchance, they would ever have had in their possession a tear gas canister thrown at them. At least two said yes. And my next line of question to them was whether on whatever they got as the shell of that canister, whether there were any inscription, writing, marking, engravement, whatever it is. And to their recollection, a matter of fact, one person out there is still looking for that canister that they should have somewhere in their home, that they're going to send a pic for me and will show me the inscriptions thereon. So there was a confirmation, yes, that there normally is a marking or whatever it is on the canister. Because like anything in life, people, like everything in life and anything in life, people, human beings expire. We die. You buy a tin of milk on the shelf, most people, some people, it is always advisable you watch the tin whatever it is, milk, peas, watch the date. It is best used before. So there is an expiry date. So what is in a tin of canister gas, compressed gas, called tear gas, CS gas, that it shouldn't expire? And I am saying, maybe only show I was showing that to you guys, you all have not noticed that. I am showing you guys this thing very upfront now. If you watch this, there's absolutely no inscriptions on there. I'm turning it for you to see. I'm zooming it for you to see. Absolutely no inscriptions on there. So that tin here does not give you, does not give me, does not give anybody an idea in terms of when that was manufactured and when that will be expiring. None at all. And so I am saying, whoever it is that is rubbing out the information on there, they have to have a reason or reasons for making the information on there evaporate. And so that is why I keep telling you, it is expired gas that your police in Dominica is using on you and I when we stand up for our rights in this country. And I know, the world as well, they are taking note. So unless and until whoever it is, as part of the Gestapo gang, can come and tell us why there is no inscriptions on these canister cans, then I am comfortable saying that these are expired products. And if these are expired products and they are used on a people ever so often, then the next move, it is to round up people who they think that is not on board, not on the same ship with them, put them in a container, a 40-foot or 20-foot container, and just like Saddam Hussein and his gang, headed by Mr. something Aziz. His name doesn't come to mind now, but his nickname, he used to be so professional at that, he was called Chemical Ali. Ali Terry Aziz, or whatever is his name. That is what we will be subjected to in the not too distant future if this Gestapo gang would have their way. And I am saying that without no reservation, because that is what I'm saying. That is what is on the horizon. And so somebody would have to explain to me as to just why there's no inscriptions on, quote unquote, your defense mechanism to suppress a people ever so often. So Dominicans, we are further than you think. And by the way, these things, I'm being told from inside, they are They came from China, from inside source, from China. And we know jolly well how the Chinese deal with people and people standing up for rights. As a matter of fact, there's even a place called Tiananmen Square. Look it up and see what happened there. Let's move on, Dominicans. Let's move on. In the interest of time, I'm not going to touch that election power. Leave it as a power for now. Let's go now to the much talked about High Court matter that the judge in the matter did not find favor with Arthur Martin, Mr. Daisy, and myself. That matter, as I told you guys, I'll just be giving you the bare bones. That matter, we all know about it. On December 15th, 2018, there was this protest action. Again, this protest action where illegal tear gas, illegal use of expired tear gas was used on a crowd of people on Casa Street. And that matter was taken up legally, that is. But like those kind of matters in the legal realm, there's always the mediation aspect, meaning the situation whereby people go before other people, like themselves, to try to solve matters before they go to court. So, from 2018, that matter was filed somewhere in 2019. And the court suggested that that matter be mediated before it end up in a trial mode or trial state. So, we have had countless number of attempts at mediation. To memory, about 6-7 attempts. But the attempt that stood out most in memory now is one where the police, and again for not going too deep, I'll not be mentioning the members' name who were there, I'll not be mentioning the mediator name, I'll not be going there. But what I can tell you, one of the attempts at that case in mediation, the police as a unit, they accepted responsibility for using unlawfully that expired tear gas on a people. So they accepted responsibility, they accepted to be liable. They accepted. That's a fact. We are talking mediation. We're not in court as yet. Upon accepting responsibility, one member of the police who were present asked to be excused from the meeting. When that police came back from whatever break he took, he came back in and he said to the meeting now, the police, after having accepted, would like to recant. would like to take back, would like to withdraw, they accepted anything. They now would want that matter ventilated in a court of law. And so that is how that matter ended up in a court of law. So just to fast track things now, June of this year, 18th of June this year, that matter was heard over 2 days. And certain things went on over the 2 days, which I'll not get into. The judge in October, first week in October thereabout, came out with his decision. And he said, basically in a nutshell, when he heard both parties, our side and the state side, he is prepared to go with the state's side in terms of they defending themselves, in terms of they using force to push back a crowd, whatever force they had to use. We well know it's tear gas, expired tear gas. The judge said he is prepared, based on what he heard, based on the evidence presented before him, he is prepared to go with the state's side and rule in favor of the state. So in a 19-page decision / judgment, he said in a nutshell that the state won that matter. That is the best I can condense it for you. And in his summation, he said now the state, seeing that they won the matter before him, we, the three of us, Athi, Daisy, myself, would now have to compensate the state for whatever the state now put forward as their bill that they had to come up with to defend themselves. So we still await whatever that price tag is. We still await. We have not heard that as yet. What we heard is a huge song and dance by the police and other, elements, as Roosevelt said, other elements. My friend, Mr. Everlasting Peter, I said it is my right side, okay? You are seeing this photo, which I understand, from your left side of it. This is my right hand. This is my right hand. You may be seeing me lifting up based on what you are seeing because of the, object, whatever, in terms of mirror image. You may be seeing that as my left, but that is my right hand. That tear gas canister hit me on my right side of my chest. And I'll not get into it again, brother. I know what I'm talking about. So let's rest that case. The judge said in his summation that we have to pay whatever the state says they had to come up with to defend themselves. That we still await. But even before we can hear what they're coming up with in terms of a figure, they went in a press conference mode and made a huge song and dance about that decision by the judge and trying now to connect what happened on the 18th or the 15th of December 2018 and trying to connect the two as to what happened then and what happened at the truckers' protests. How much more? How much more pulling wool over a people's eye will some people not go? How much more? every case has to be measured on its own merit. So Mr. Valerie, you and others, whoever you guys are, because I didn't listen, I heard, some people call. You cannot be mixing up two matters. Our case is our case. This has nothing to do with what you guys did and will continue to do unless Dominicans put this to a halt. So stop fooling the people of Dominica. And finally, this matter based on, our attorney advice, where she basically believes that the judge erred in his decision. And that is left for us to say, that is left for her to say, that is our prerogative. We are not lambasting the judge by any means. We are not telling of the judge. As a matter of fact, we are on board in terms of the judge dealing with the matter in court, have it ventilated in court. But as to his outcome, we can defer. And so we defer. So we are not settling. We are now prepared to take that case to the next level, which is the appeals level. So for all of you who are joyful and singing a melodious song, if needs be, there's 2 more shots at that. And we well know how these things go. And I rested there. So for Mr. Clerville Mills and others, on the front line today, I asked Clerville Mills, based on his impression, as a former police officer himself, with a very colorful past, I asked him on site, what is his impression of the police protesting? The first thing he had to tell me was, are you aware that you lost the High Court case? I said, yes, I'm aware. But there's more to go, my brother. And even if in the eyes of man, that case does not vindicate us as freedom fighters and people who stand for justice, there's a greater above who sees and knows all. And so that is my comfort. That is our comfort. And so Dominicans, finally tonight, let us be very, very, very vigilant. In the country in which we live, let us be on the ready. Let us be on guard. Because this country, it should mean something to you. It surely means something to me. And I can tell you, in terms of my hope, my outlook, this, and when I say this, I mean this regime, it is much closer to its end than where we were some time back. So be comforted. Holy Stream Dominicans. I know some of you may be going through hell and back. But that should be a learning period for all of us. That, as I keep saying, we should never, ever in our nation's lifespan, our lifespan, put a people to govern us and basically be so comfortable that we go to sleep. Politically speaking, we must always be astute. And I am saying we have gone to sleep. We thought when we said in 2004 after the tragedy of both prime ministers back-to-back death, give the young man a chance. That was a very, very ill-comforting thing to have done then, and we are paying for it today. Thank you, Dominicans. Thank you for your eyes and ears each and every time. I want to just thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for the information, back and forth. Thank you guys for everything. We know the victory is on our side. We know that. We know that. Finally, you guys may be reading about books and history and, people going through trial. But we are going through our own turbulent times now, knowing fully well that we will be vindicated in the future. All right? So remember, Dominicans, tomorrow on the Civic Vibes program, as I said, that we'll be having a culturally oriented program where Gregory Rabes will be our first guest, and Brother Derek Ra Peters will be our second guest. So you can tune in for that, a much anticipated program tomorrow. Thank you guys. Let me leave you guys with that song that has been in my spirit. A brother from Antigua who sang that song some time back. Let me just see if I can pull that up. And once that is done, yours truly will be out of here. What's this song? Yeah. I think this song is Short Shoot Handwriting, yeah? It's a brother from Antigua who sang that song.